All right, back on the Young Turks. Now we're going to talk to Aaron Schwartz. He's one of the co-founders of Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and they've got a new mission to stop the confirmation of Ben Bernanke to be the head of the Fed again. Aaron, welcome to the Young Turks.
Thanks for having me on.
We appreciate you coming on. What's your beef with Ben Bernanke?
You know, there's just so many things wrong with Ben Bernanke. I mean, just to start with, you know, this was a guy who kept saying there was no housing bubble, there was no problem with the economy, we needed to deregulate, we needed to promote subprime mortgages. And then when he turned out to be wrong and the economy did blow up, you know, what did he do? His solution was a whole bunch of secret bailouts, trillions of dollars. He's still refusing to tell Congress how he spent. You know, and now we're at 10% unemployment. Sure, the banks are back to record profits, but average Americans are hurting, and he's refusing to do anything about it. There was a secret memo that recently came out of the last Federal Reserve meeting where they said their big fear was that the economy might start growing again and banks might start lending things out to average people, and, you know, that might cause inflation someday. Instead of worrying about actual people being unemployed, they're worried about this theoretical threat of inflation. It's just crazy.
And what is it, you know, everybody always talks about the secrecy of the Fed. I mean, Aaron, I don't know if you can be more specific. What are they keeping secret that, you know, at the very least we should know about before we confirm anyone to be the head of the Fed?
Yeah, so, you know, the Federal Reserve has a lot of power. Most people don't know about it. It's kind of an obscure organization. But in the Federal Reserve Act, they're basically given the authority to make any kinds of loans to anybody, you know, whether in the U.S. or other countries or banks or businesses, for any reason they want. You know, it's not an emergency power. It's a power they can use every day. And most of the time, the Fed doesn't use this power. It's just kind of in the law, and everybody sort of ignores it. But when the crisis hit, Ben Bernanke really started using it, and he actually spent trillions of dollars, something that was kind of unprecedented for the Fed. They normally don't use this power at all, and spent trillions of dollars, and he just won't say who that he gave the trillions of dollars to. Like, it's a pretty fundamental thing, I think. You know, if someone unaccountable, unelected, is spending trillions of dollars of American money buying things, we should know where it's going.
You know, I've probably asked this question 3 or 4 times to 3 or 4 different guests, but I'm amazed by it every time, so I ask every time. How does he come up with the $1 trillion? I mean, my understanding was that Congress is supposed to pass spending bills. Where is this, you know, somewhat unregulated entity, the Fed? I mean, they're the ones supposed to be doing the regulation, and I keep wondering who watches the watchers, right? and so where does he get the authority to come up with $1 trillion, and where the hell does it come from?
Yeah, you know, that's exactly right. I mean, the Fed has this kind of amazing power just to sort of print money. You know, they basically are in charge of the money supply, so they can kind of make the money out of thin air if they need it. And it's true, you know, there's the fundamental question, like, it's an incredible power. Who's keeping oversight on that? If the Fed's keeping oversight on the banks, who's keeping oversight on the Fed? And one of the most incredible things about Bernanke is he's been fighting tooth and nail to prevent us from auditing the Fed. There's a law in the books that makes the Fed pretty much the only agency that Congress can't do an investigation of. And, you know, Ron Paul and Alan Grayson have been working really hard to get that provision removed. And Ben Bernanke has been personally calling congressmen on the committee, telling them that, you know, the economy will tank if anyone ever investigates the Fed. Again, just totally ridiculous.
So where's the state of the fight now? I know that Bernie Sanders has said he's going to vote no on Bernanke, and today basically announced that he's going to put a hold on him, so they're going to need 60 senators to be on Bernanke's side for him to pass. Now, look, that's Bernie Sanders putting up the good fight as usual, but do you think they're going to get the 60 senators, and how can we prevent that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that's totally up to us. I've talked to a bunch of people on the Hill, and the sense there is that, you know, sure, all the banks and financial companies want Bernanke to go through, but the senators are scared because people are starting to pay attention to this economic stuff. They know the country is hurting, and they're worried that there could be a backlash. So what we need to do is we need to organize and show them that there is a backlash, that people do care. This isn't just another obscure thing that they can get through without anyone paying attention. And that's why we at the PCCC have started StopBailoutBen.com. So we're asking everyone to go there and sign on, you know, telling senators to vote no on someone who won't even tell us where the trillions of dollars he gave away went to.
And do you think you might be able to grab some Republicans on this one? Because now Bernanke was initially, of course, appointed by George W. Bush, and now he's being reappointed by Obama, so you got the Republicans and the Democrats theoretically on his side as a general thing because their leaders said so. But you might be able to peel away some Republican votes here who think, well, I don't care who I voted for in the past. They're not particularly hip on keeping track of their own hypocrisy. So they could, say, hey, look, this is a vote against Obama. I'm in. And some Republicans are actually concerned about the Fed as well. So is there a chance to grab some of them and work with them in this case?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, been kind of a bizarre experience for us because we've actually been getting to work closely with a lot of right-wing groups. I mean, we're pretty much diametrically opposed from the sort of Tea Party people, but, one thing about the Tea Partiers is that they don't like secret bailouts, and I think that's something pretty much everybody can get behind except for Wall Street bandits. So it's actually been a chance for, Republicans and Democrats to get together. There's been a bunch of op-eds coming out this week, from top Republican economists and top liberal economists, basically saying this is pretty common sense. You don't just hand out money and not tell Congress where you gave it. You don't just, not worry about unemployment. You focus on saving big banks instead.
And what if he said, you know what, Aaron, you guys at the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, you got me, okay? I'm going to fess up to where all the money went, and we're going to have true transparency. Then would you consider supporting Bernanke as the head of the Fed?
I mean, that would certainly be a huge step. I mean, if you had a total change of heart, I might be willing to consider it. But like I said, there's just so many problems with Bernanke. The secret bailouts are just the beginning. This is a George W. Bush guy. He's been wrong consistently on deregulation, on the economy, on the housing crisis, on subprime mortgages, and on unemployment. It'd be great to start seeing some more transparency so at least we can see what he's doing with our money, but I still think he's fundamentally going to be spending it the wrong way.
Yeah, it's funny that we've gotten used to the conventional wisdom in Washington that if you're wrong, you get promoted. If you're right, you're a fringe player, right? He was in charge of the Fed when the meltdown happened. Like, we're giving it, or we're not, but a lot of people in the media and the Obama administration give him credit for somewhat handling, and we can have a debate about that, but somewhat handling the crisis after it happened. But what happened before it happened? I mean, that seems like that should be a question they should ask, right? When the hearings come up.
This is the most amazing thing to me is what Barack Obama was thinking in reappointing him. I mean, we had a huge election which Obama won basically because of the economy, because people wanted change. They wanted new economic management. And the Federal Reserve Chairman is probably the number one most important job for governing the economy. It controls the money supply, it controls the banks, it controls all of these things. And who does Obama appoint? He appoints the same guy George W. Bush did. It makes no sense.
That is a little tough to justify. And whether Bush appointed him or not, he was the captain of the ship when the ship ran aground. I mean, I'm not sure I'd want to rehire the captain of the Titanic because, you know what, he got some people on the lifeboats. In fact,
that's exactly right. And it's not like, nobody could have foreseen this. I mean, liberal economists were predicting a housing bubble for years. They had all the graphs and facts in front of them. Bernanke should have been able to see this coming. And in fact, he was asked about it repeatedly. People asked him, what did he think of these numbers? And he said, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. I mean, just incredibly poor judgment.
All right. Aaron Schwartz is with the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, boldprogressives.org, and it's stopbailoutben.com. StopBailoutBen.com. That's the current website on this particular issue. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Young Turks.